out of all types of EBS storage, IO2 is the high performance SSD volume, I would say, and which is designed for business critical latency sensitive application. Okay, now let's move to the HDD based EBS volumes. As I told you, we have two HDD based EBS volumes, which are cold HDD SC1, throughput optimized HDD ST1. So C stand for cold, T stand for throughput optimized. So let's first select the throughput optimized HDD. Okay, the first tab is the size. Let's check the minimum volume. You cannot create a 100 GB. You cannot provision 100 GB storage using ST1. So ST1, the minimum size should be 125 GB. Okay, if I'm selecting 125 GB, it is not displaying any IOPS. We don't know how many input output operation input, that means how many read per second or how many write per second is happening. We don't know, it is not displaying, but there should be some minimum value. There should be some value, but they are not showing it. In fact, they are just displaying the throughput. That clearly means this particular volume storage type is basically giving importance to throughput. Throughput means it is the number of bytes flowing, number of byte processed per second. Okay, so that's what the throughput, number of bytes writing per second plus number of writes reading per second. We can call this as a throughput for a storage volume. So it is 5 means 5 MB per second, the minimum. 125 is the minimum required storage, and if you have 125, if you are provisioning a 125 GB storage, minimum 5 MB per second you can read and write altogether, or and maximum you will get 31 Mbps. Suppose I'm increasing it, the value of throughput is also changing. Let us see the maximum supported volume in the ST1. I'm selecting 17 TB. So 17 TB will not support. So it clearly written the maximum supported storage in ST1 is 16 TB, not more than that. So 16 TB is the maximum supported volume in ST1. And again, see, if you are utilizing 16 TB, you will get maximum throughput, and maximum supported throughput is 500 Mbps. So using ST1, you can have 125 GB till 16 TB storage, and throughput minimum, what was the minimum throughput I showed you? It was 5 Mbps till, and maximum is 16378, maximum 500 Mbps throughput. Okay, so if you need a throughput optimized kind of, if you are looking for a throughput optimized kind of workload, you can opt ST1 EBS volume. Let's look at the SC1. If you have any archive data and data which you won't use predominantly, or you access those data not frequently, those data you can store it in the SC1 storage. Again, in SC1 the IOPS is not mentioned. Maximum, let's check the maximum supported size, 163.16400. So it's more than 16 TB, so it won't support more than 6 TB. And a minimum, I believe the minimum is 125. Yeah, so minimum is 125 GB. Again, here the throughput, you can see the throughput for throughput is 2 and maximum is 10 for 125 GB. And let's check the maximum throughput. See 378. See, for SC1 the maximum throughput is 250 GB, and here also it should display through 250, but it is not showing. Anyway, so throughput maximum in SC1 is 250. That's about it. There is one more EBS volume which is called instant store volume. Not all AMIs will support instant store volume, and not all instance type will support instant store volume. Okay, I will tell you the instant store volume, how it is connected. So instant store volume is locally attached to the hardware, so where your CPU and memory is residing. So this since this storage is locally available, you will get a maximum performance. You can use instant store. The problem with the EBS instant store volume, when you shut down your server or when you terminated your server, the data is not retrievable. Okay, that's about instant store volume. It is specific to an instant and specific to AMI. That's about instant store volume. I'm going to explain you about the EBS snapshot. I have logged into AWS console and Elastic. Under Elastic Block Store, you can see the snapshot service. A snapshot is basically a point in time copy of your Elastic block volume. When you create an instance, by default there is a volume attached to it, which is called the root volume, which contains the operating system and the user data and application data. There are You can also attach multiple EBS volume to an instance. Suppose if something happens to that particular volume, you can restore the volume and data from the snapshot. Hope that is clear. So snapshot is basically a copy of your volume, EBS volume. And this is point time. The complete activity is point time. That means if I'm taking the snapshot of the volume, whatever data currently saved on the disk at that particular moment will copied over to the snapshot. And there might be some data under pipeline or under IO operation or in RAM. Those data won't get copied over to the snapshot file. Okay. And again, if this is not an automated process, you have to manually create the snapshot. To create a recurring job, you have to use the either the Amazon data lifecycle manager or some backup policies. You have to define some backup policies. Again, when you create a snapshot, those snapshot files will be saved in the AWS S3 bucket. That doesn't mean you can manage the snapshot files inside the S3 service. No, you cannot see or manage any of the snapshot files in the AWS S3 console. Okay. The another thing is whatever snapshot files which we are creating, which is available in the region level. That means you can restore the volume in any of the availability zone inside the region. That's the cool thing about the snapshot. Suppose I had an instance and I took a snapshot of this particular volume and I have an instance here, and using the snapshot file I can restore the same volume here and attach this instant. That's it. Okay. And again, if I'm taking the snapshot of this particular volume on today and tomorrow if I'm doing the same task, suppose the disk volume is 5 GB, the next day if the job is running for the next day, it will take only the changes so that we can save the space and time. That means the snapshot process is incremental. Again, if the volume is encrypted, the respective snapshot also will be encrypted. So if you want to share the snapshot to another user, you have to share the CMK key. CMK key is the key which you are using while encrypting the disk. So without that CMK key, nobody will be able to use the snapshot file, the encrypted snapshot file. Okay, so let's go show you the demo. So here I have an instance which is a Windows instance. The name is WinLab1, and you can see what are volumes attached. It has only one volume and it is 30 GB. So taking 30 GB volume snapshot, it will take time. Let's create another volume and GP3, that is the free tier, and let it be 5 GB 5, and let's rest of the settings are default. See, I have the option to encrypt. If I'm encrypting, the respective snapshot also will be encrypted. So I'm not going to make any changes. You can use the tag as well to differentiate or to identify. So I'm creating a volume and 5 GB volume. So the now 5 GB is creating. Now it is available. Okay, the 5 GB is now available. Now I am going to attach this 5 GB to the instance. So we have the instance attach volume, and we have only one instance currently running, which is WinLab1 attached. This is the device name, and I attached it. That doesn't mean we can use this disk. To use the disk, we have to go to the disk manager and need to initialize it. Okay, now we can create a simple volume. Let's take the default settings. So now you will be able to see the D drive. Let's create some random data on this disk. Suppose I'm creating a test folder. Under that, I'm creating a test file and writing some random contents. This is a test file. Okay. Okay. So we have a second disk, which is disk one, and it contains some data. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the snapshot of this volume. To take the snapshot, either you can under the volume section, select the volume, and under action you can create a snapshot, or from the snapshot service also you can take the snapshot. Say here is a create snapshot, and there are two options. When you create a snapshot, there are two options. Either you can take a volume snapshot. You can specify only the respective volume. So I can select this volume or the second volume or the first volume. If I'm taking the second option, which is the instance option, I'm selecting the volume. So here is the either I can select the root volume or the second volume. If I'm selecting the instance, I'll be able to select only the instance name. So if I select the instance, all the volumes attached to that disk will get snapshot. Okay, so here I'm going to do the volume snapshot, and I'm selecting the second volume, which is the 5 GB. This description is to identify which is the snap of D drive. That's it. I'm not going to use any tag. I'm creating the snapshot. So snapshot created. This is what I told you. This is asynchronous. Asynchronous means when you click on the create snapshot, the process will create immediately, but task will be under. I mean, it will take some time to complete. Okay. So let's wait to complete this process. So yeah. So we have the snapshot ready. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this drive. So we will be losing the D drive and the respective data inside the drive. So to delete the drive, you can see that the second disk is here, and I'm going to the volume session and selecting the D drive and going to force detach this volume. I have to type them detach, so that the volume will be deleted from the or detached from the instance. See, now you will not be able to see the volume here, see the disk here, and yes, it is showing available. Let's delete this disk. It is not attached now. Let's delete the volume. So we don't have the second volume, we have only the root volume. That means currently only the 30 GB disk is available. The second disk and data currently gone. Okay, and we have the snapshot ready. To restore the second volume, this volume from the snapshot, there are two options. Either you can
you can restore the volume from the snapshot section. Sorry, I don't see that. Okay, you have to come into the snapshot to create the to restore the volume from the snapshot. Select the snapshot. Okay, click on the actions and create volume from snapshot. You can now you have the option to select a different volume type. So it was gp3, you can select the gp2 as well. I'm leave as it is. And when you restore, you can select the disk size. You can't go below the original disk size. Original disk size was 5 GB. When you select 4 or 3 after restoration, it will still show 5 GB. You can select a larger volume, no issues it. I'm leaving rest all the option as default. I told you you can use the you can restore the snapshot to any of the availability domain. So you can select the availability domain, but you won't be able to use the data because we don't have any instances available on other availability zone inside the same inside the region. We are not going to do that. Again, encrypt. As I told you, by while restoring a volume, you can encrypt the volume. Okay, we are leaving as it is. So now I'm going to restore the volume here. You can see the volume under the volumes. See, now the volume is available. It's the status is available. To use the volume for inside the operating system, we have to first attach it. So selecting it, and under actions, I'm going to attach the volume. So it is asking the which instance I want to attach. I select WinLab1, and this is the device name. I attach the volume. Now if you go inside the operating system, you can see that new volume is ready to use. If you open, see your data is there, and if you open the sample file, that's it. So in this section, we created a snapshot and we deleted the volume, we restored the volume, and we confirmed the data is there.
Now we will look into another demo regarding the snapshot. Okay.
I'm going to show you a demo on EBS snapshot. For the demo purpose, we will be creating two instances in different availability zone. One in 1A availability zone and another Windows instance in the 1B availability zone. The difference between these two instances, the first instance contains an additional EBS volume apart from the root volume, a 2 GB volume we are creating in the first instance and attaching it. After attaching, we will be logging into the operating system and do some disk management procedure so that users will be able to store some data. So we will be creating some folders and files inside this 2 GB volume. We will take the snapshot of this volume. As you know that after taking the snapshot will be residing in the Amazon S3. So from S3, we will restore the volume in another availability zone. Okay. So basically, the 2 GB volume which was present in the availability zone 1A and attached to the instance win1, after taking the snapshot, we will recreate the same volume from the snapshot in the second availability zone. So this is what we are going to do in today's class. I have already created two instances. I'll show you. The instances are already there, and status looks good. Look here, none of the EBS volumes are encrypted. Again, if the volumes are not encrypted, and after the snapshot will also be unencrypted. If the volume is encrypted, then the snapshot will also be encrypted. Okay, so let's take the snapshot of the D drive. There are multiple ways to take the snapshot. Either you can go to snapshot and create. From here you can do snapshot, create snapshot, and we are going to take the volume snapshot, not the instant snapshot. D drive, selected the D drive, leaving the description and the description blank, not adding any tag at this point. Okay, so snapshot, it's still in pending status. Yeah, snapshot is completed. Now what we are going to do, I'll, I'll detach the this disk from the instance, the first instance. To detach the instance, no, sorry, detach the second disk. That means disk one from this instance, first instance. To detach the EBS volume, so this is a D drive actions. So detach volume. Okay, so now the volume is detached. Now there is no D drive in the instance one, but the drive is it's still available in the EBS console, but it is not attached to any of the instances. So let's move to the second instance, or let's move to the snapshot section. So this is the snapshot we took. We are going to restore the volume from the snapshot. Okay, so to restore the volume, under actions, click on create volume from snapshot. You can actually select the type of storage you need. Let's select the default storage, 2 GB. You cannot select, so yes, you can select less than 2 GB, but after you restore, it will show the minimum, I mean 2 GB. Obviously you can select 10 GB here or 100 GB, but minimum 2 GB is needed. So we are going to restore this volume in 1B so that we can attach to the second instance. Now we have the option to encrypt this volume. We are not going to do that. Create volume. So what this will do, this will create another volume. Where is that EBS? Yeah. So there were three volumes earlier. Now fourth one got created. See, we are going to attach the fourth volume in the second. For see, this is the, now we are going to attach the restored volume to the second instance in the second availability zone, which is 1B. So let's attach the volume. It is win2, attach volume. Okay, now after attaching, we have to connect it, and there are a couple of procedure in the disk management to use it. Let's use the MSTSC. Copy the DNS name. DNS name is ready. Administrator. And to get the password, I have to upload the private key. Okay, we got the password. Mm, yep. Okay, got this. Accepted the self-signed certificate for the encrypted communication. So this volume is now attached to the instance, but from the operating system perspective, we need to do a couple of tasks to use it. What is disk management? Okay, disk is not accessible. We have to make it online. Okay, let's try to see the content. See, we have the data. So data is available. It was restored from a snapshot from one availability zone to another availability zone and attaching from and using the disk manager, we attach to the operating system to this disk. Now we are able to use the data. That's it about today's demo.